Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're looking at something pretty fascinating, the spot where thousands of years of medical wisdom meet cutting-edge artificial intelligence. We're diving into how AI is taking these ancient diagnostic arts and translating them into the language of modern data.
And this really gets to the heart of the problem for traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM. You've got this incredibly rich system, full of holistic insights, but for today's healthcare world, there's always been this one giant hurdle. How do you standardize and scale something that has, for so long, been based on a doctor's personal interpretation?
So, let's start by unpacking that problem. Why has it been so tough to plug TCM into our modern, data-driven health systems? Well, it all comes down to its unique diagnostic approach. For centuries, a TCM diagnosis has stood on these four methods. A practitioner will look at your tongue, listen to your voice, ask about your symptoms, and of course, famously, feel your pulse. But here's the kicker. The value of all that information has always depended entirely on the individual skill and experience of that one practitioner. And you can imagine, for any healthcare administrator, that's a massive challenge, right? How do you prove the treatments work? How do you make sure every patient gets the same level of care? How do you scale a system built on something so subjective? This variability has been the biggest roadblock to really integrating it on a large scale. But what if technology could finally give us a key to unlock that black box? What if we could take all that incredible diagnostic intuition built up over centuries and translate it into the language modern medicine understands best: objective, quantifiable data?
This is the huge shift AI is bringing to the table. We're talking about a move from a practice that was almost purely an art form, based on experience, to one that's supercharged by objective, data-driven analysis. It's not about replacing the art, not at all. It's about backing it up with hard science.
And this is the perfect way to think about it. Just think about what the X-ray did for anatomy, right? It let us see inside the body in a way no one ever could before. It made the invisible visible, and it created a standard way to see what was going on. Well, AI is getting ready to do the exact same thing for the subtle diagnostic patterns of TCM.
So, let's get into the nitty-gritty. How does this actually work? How does AI take these very personal, very human observations and turn them into cold, hard numbers that a computer can crunch? Okay, let's start with tongue diagnosis. A practitioner will look at the color, the coding, the shape, all to spot different patterns. So a pale tongue might suggest what's called a qi deficiency. You can think of that as low vital energy. A purple tongue might mean circulation is a bit sluggish. It's incredibly insightful, but you can see how it's also really open to interpretation.
Now here's how AI just completely systematizes this. First, it takes a perfect high-res picture of the tongue under ideal lighting. Then the algorithms get to work, extracting all the key features. They're quantifying the exact shade of red, the thickness of the coating, the precise shape. The system then compares that data against a massive database of other cases and spits out a detailed, standardized report. Suddenly, the practitioner's intuition is backed by objective data.
And the same exact thing is happening with pulse diagnosis, which you could argue is the most refined, most difficult to master art in all of TCM. A skilled practitioner can feel for dozens of subtle qualities just with their fingertips. Is the pulse wiry? Is it slippery? Deep? Thin? Well, AI-powered sensors turn that tactile experience into a digital waveform. And just like that, those poetic descriptions get turned into hard data. A wiry pulse might have a specific frequency and a sharp peak. A slippery pulse shows up as a much smoother waveform. The art is literally being translated into objective biometrics, ready for serious analysis and validation.
So what does this all add up to for a modern healthcare system? I mean, why should busy administrators and clinicians really be paying attention? This is where the real-world payoff becomes crystal clear.
First off, it's important to know this isn't some overnight fad. The effort to bring modern tech into TCM has been going on for decades, from the very first expert systems back in the 80s to the deep learning we're seeing today. The 2020s are really about putting all that groundwork into actual clinical practice.
So what are the big wins for the system as a whole? Well, this new quantified approach delivers on three key things. One, it drives diagnostic consistency. That means a patient's diagnosis no longer depends entirely on which doctor they happen to see. That in turn reduces variability between clinics. And maybe most importantly, it creates huge standardized data sets, which is the absolute bedrock you need for large-scale clinical research to finally validate these methods.
This leap in technology isn't just about giving an ancient practice a modern facelift. It's really about rethinking how we can build a smarter, more integrated future for all of healthcare.
Now, this is a super important point. This technology is not designed to replace the clinician. The researchers leading this charge are the first to say that the expertise, the empathy, the holistic judgment of a human practitioner, that's all irreplaceable. AI is a tool to make them better, not to make them obsolete.
The goal, the most powerful model, is something called collaborative intelligence. Think of it as a perfect partnership. You get the deep, intuitive insight of the human practitioner, amplified by the incredible precision and consistency of AI-driven data. It's truly the best of both worlds working together.
And that leaves us with a final, pretty provocative thought. Maybe the whole conversation is no longer about East versus West or traditional versus modern. With powerful tools like AI building these new bridges, maybe what we're actually moving toward is a single, intelligent, and truly integrated system of health.